Today, we're going to talk about the journey of IT. Back in the early 2000s, when I started doing technology, the cloud, right? It didn't exist. Voice over IP was just starting, and the servers on-prem, hard drives crashing all the time. Day one, I would go door to door and there was not even a geek squad. You know, the IT folks like me, right? We were the janitors, right? You really didn't want to call us, but we had to clean stuff up when things get bad. I wanted to make technology fun. If you walk around this office, you come around our team, you will know what the culture is, how we care about people, what we respect, what we value, and how the customer is always first. I'm Anthony Mangialuzzo, and welcome to Built to Scale. Today, we're going to talk about the journey of IT and how it's evolved over the last 25 years. And we're going to do something a little different, right? We all like to brag. We all like to tell you our wins, and we're going to tell you what we got right. But I'm going to share with you what we also got wrong. Let's get started. So we're going to go down a history line, and I'm going to share quite a few pictures with you. Back in the early 2000s, when I started doing technology, there was so many different things than there are now. One, the cloud, right? It didn't exist. Voice over IP was just starting. And by the way, it was terrible because there was no bandwidth, low bandwidth, and you had a constant echo. The servers on-prem, hard drives crashing all the time. And guess what? My business wasn't even a thing. So let's start with day one. Day one, I would go door to door and there was not even a geek squad. The geek squad did not exist. And thankfully, growing up in Philly, but parents moving to Medford, I ended up meeting a lot of different business owners. And when I was doing the on-site support for their homes, I would then get invited to their businesses. And what I could tell you is you needed to actually build, especially if you had a decent sized company, a big server room. And that came along with air conditioning, massive electricity, and again, no cloud at that time. So when you went into that server room, you would see these things called tapes, and they were tape drives, and that's actually how you backed up the data. So imagine this, every morning you'd wake up and you'd actually go into this room and switch the tape. And the other crazy things were, tech support really, it wasn't seen as something that could really help your business. It was really just a function that you did. And, the IT folks like me, right? We were the janitors, right? You really didn't want to call us, but we had to clean stuff up when things get bad. And things got bad quite a bit. So definitely a different era. Things were so much slower. There was no automation. There was no AI. It was actually a cool time. And, people think now with, all the clicking and operating systems that things are easier. I would beg to differ. I almost think things today are a little bit harder because there's so much more to learn, right? The hardware was definitely tougher back then because it wasn't as sophisticated. But now IT is expected just to do so much more. I mean, even the coffee maker probably has an IP address in most offices. So let's go to the journey though. And you know what? We got to start with what we got right? We don't want to start with bad news. So 25 years in business, as I said in the prior podcast, I started everything with about $600, literally a phone in a parent's spare bedroom, some business cards. And what I did know was that I could do better service, right? As an individual, as not a company, right? You like to think we were a company back then, but now it was me in a bedroom. And what I really did was I was available 7 days a week. I worked 7 days a week. I can't tell you for how many years. I don't think I had a vacation for at least 10 years. And I was scared to death when I took that vacation. And thankfully, a good friend of mine runs Vineland, great business partner, Mark Mosley, actually covered me for my first week of vacation after about 10 years. But what did I do? I focused on being service oriented. I didn't think of myself as a computer guy, computer tech. I thought of myself as a business person, and I was always available. So people knew when they called my cell phone, Maybe I was at a service call, maybe I was doing something, but they knew they were going to get quick service. And again, hence 7 days a week, right? The second thing is most computer people, what you'll realize is they are not the most fun. They're not the most talkative. They're not the most social. Thankfully for me, growing up in a bar, I learned quite a bit from my parents, my family, and those relationships. So I really, and still to this day, feel the human side in a very, very cold industry, right? We all remember, maybe not everyone, right? I'm sure some younger people watching, but the computer guy from Saturday Night Live, right? Calling people idiots and stupid because they didn't know the technology. Guess what? You might be stupid in one area. I'm stupid in a ton of areas. I just happen to be good at technology, more than likely because I like video games. Another thing that I got right, and I'm very proud of myself for this one, was finding a way, right? No business background, no accounting background, no nothing, just really good computer guy. I was able to find a way over the years to really build scalable systems. And we really made MSP cool before it was cool, right? So we built these systems, we did these things, but what I always said was, I wanted to make technology fun. I wanted to make technology cool. I wanted to make it hip. And you know what? Somehow I really think we did it. If you look at the way we marketed, if you look at, the last 16 years on Fox 29, we've done something different. You don't see a lot of tech guys, tech gals breaking out of the barrier. Other things that we learned and other things that we did right. Cybersecurity. We got into that game very early. What I'd like to say is we're the OGs of incident response. And when I say OGs, that means we started in about 2019. We were really one of the first incident response companies to actually go global. And what we did was we built a separate division to do that, which actually, when IR gets a little slower, also helps our service teams and everything else. But any day, anytime, we could get stuck on planes, trains, automobiles, and now after COVID, a little bit more remote. But by getting involved in cybersecurity just before everyone else, right? And again, this industry, and we're going to see really, really quickly how fast AI is moving. We got in just, a little bit sooner, which was also good. Another thing that we got tremendously right, and thankfully the team and the people here have really continued my tradition. I could tell you, when you started with PCS in 2002, pay wasn't there. There was really not much that we had. All we had was an opportunity for fun, for teamwork, for learning, and one for all and all for one. So our culture. And again, remember, when I started the company, I was in college. I was at Rowan University. So I had a different mindset to corporate America. And I think if you come in our office, maybe you see our beer 30 every Friday at 3:30, that we still happen to do things a little bit differently. But what I will say is, if you walk around this office, you come around our team, you will know what the culture is, how we care about people, what we respect, what we value, and how the customer is always first. So what I'll say is, aside from me, right, for years and years, picking up the phone at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whenever it takes, the team here now does that because we all see each other, we're all helping each other. And guess what? When you pick up that phone, I don't care if it's 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, when people know they can get you and they know that you will help them and they know that you truly care, you don't need a sales pitch. And that's how, and again, people think I'm crazy and, oh, this ain't the true story. We have one full-time salesperson and we were able to grow from 600 to 35 million. So again, customer service and really showing what you mean and believing in the value that you offer is more than you could do. So that all sounds great, right? So everything's perfect. We always get, millions of dollars coming to the door, but that's not really the case. So many business owners, they don't like to share this stuff, but what did we do wrong? And I shouldn't say we. I like to say we when we're winning, but what did I do wrong? Number one, I held on to break-fix relationships for far too long. The industry changed, and in IT, if you're just doing a transactional relationship, let me fix this one time for your business, it's going to lead to a lot of problems, right? We don't like saying no to people. We don't like turning people down, but I really hindered the business by holding on to those relationships. And I should have been tougher. I should have went and tried to convert some of those clients to more managed services and didn't do it. Finally did it. And that's that's a take back I wish I could have. Second thing, I was very lucky when I started the business to be focused in real estate, but that wasn't a plan. I ended up getting a lot of real estate, a lot of title, and a lot of mortgage. And then what happened? The market went to holy hell in 2008 and 2009. At that moment, I noticed and I realized that I really should have specialized in verticals that are a little bit more stable. Accounting services, healthcare services, manufacturing. Those industries typically don't go away. So while I was able to make the move and I was lucky enough around 2010 when the EMR, EHR, electronic health records really started to become a thing, I was able to get into there. But I think there would have been a much calmer sea for me if I did that a little bit sooner. Other things we did, right? Now the software wasn't there, and it's very easy, hindsight's 2020, but we definitely took a long time to really go from the reactive side to the proactive side. And one of those things, right? I would always laugh if a storm came, a lightning storm, power outages. We were the best firefighters on the planet. But what could I have done different? What could I have done to monitor systems more proactively? Make sure there was multiple layers. And again, we're there now. But I think if I sat down a little bit and thought about it, in the first 10 years, we could have done a much better job at that. Another area, which is now, very, very commonplace, and thankfully we have a great team that excels at it. I was very opposed to the cloud. I used to talk to our customers about smart use of the cloud, right? Backups was a very easy example. Get those backups off site. But I would say in 2016, 2015, PCS was not the best at recommending the cloud because as a real estate person outside of, IT, I like to own my properties. I hate renting. I loved my renters, right? Because they built equity for me. And to me, I felt that going to the cloud, and even still nowadays, if you look at it, the break-even point is still about 26 to 28 months for most companies. But there's a lot bigger advantage to the cloud, especially after COVID, work from home, insurance policies, all the other things that you have to deal with technology. But so I wish we embraced that sooner. Again, we got that wrong. That was not a mortal sin, but we could have done a better job. The last thing, and this was kind of interesting to me, just a few weeks ago, I took a sales call in Delaware. Thank you, Jake, for being in Canada. It was actually great to be in person, but a customer, well, a prospect, hopefully a customer, they said to me, and Jake was on the cameras, Jake was on Zoom, so he was working, so we'll be nice. We won't discount him there, but the attorney said to me, he goes, I have one question. We have 5 other quotes, and why are you guys so cheap? You're much cheaper than everyone else. So I went through our pitch and explained why, but I was very brutally honest. A couple weeks ago, we got a quote from a competitor. They sent it to our office. Hey, can you beat this? We ran the quote through our pricing calculator. Our price would have been about $5,000 a month. This publicly traded national IT company, obviously won't say their name, came in at about $9,200 on a 36-month deal. We're month to month. We don't tie people in. They were $48,000 a year more than us. So what I did say to the prospect was that we are going to actually review that after Labor Day. We are going to look at our pricing calculator. But yeah, one of the biggest mistakes is we left a lot on the table. And, thankfully as a company, we've always been profitable. We've obviously been able to create a lot of jobs, grow our offices, and do, great things for the community. But we haven't charged what we are worth. And I guess, when you look at it, there's really these lessons, you learn them the hard way. I mean, all the entrepreneurs, all the business people looking at this, right? We're all hustling, we're all looking at different things, but unfortunately, experience is really the best teacher. So what I'll leave you with this is, hopefully from this podcast, you got what we did right? There's a lot of things that we did great. And I think the most important thing is to focus on the people, right? Whether it's your internal people, right? Because just between customers and you have internal customers too, right? So you want to keep your people happy. You want to keep your customers happy. I think that's the number one takeaway there. In lessons to be learned, I would say, make sure you value yourself a little bit more and always try to be a bit innovative. I don't think we should have, the best way to put it is, been so slow with the cloud, but there was a medium way we should have done it. So I will leave you with that, and I hope you tune in. We got some great guests coming up, and we're going to continue to keeping you built to scale.